Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Patrick Dewaere, the brilliant, tormented icon of French cinema. Patrick Dewaere remains one of the most compelling and tragic figures in French cinema, a brilliant, instinctive performer whose raw emotional intensity left a lasting mark on the film industry. Though his career lasted barely more than a decade, his work continues to influence generations of actors and filmmakers who admire his courage, vulnerability, and uncompromising dedication to authenticity. Early life and artistic origins. Born Patrick Jean-Marie Henri Bourdeaux on January 26, 1947, in Saint-Brieuc, France. He grew up in a family of performers and began acting as a child alongside his siblings. He took the stage name Patrick Dewaere in his 20s, marking the beginning of his break from a difficult and complicated family history. This name change symbolized more than a career choice; it represented a desire for personal reinvention and independence. Breakthrough and the rise of a new kind of actor. Dewaere's breakthrough came with Les Valseuses, 1974, directed by Bertrand Blier, in which he starred opposite Gérard Depardieu and Mio Mio. The film's provocative content shocked audiences, but Dewaere's fearless performance signaled the arrival of a new actor who was neither polished nor conventional. Instead, he embodied a raw, honest energy that felt revolutionary on screen. Throughout the 1970s, he solidified his status as one of France's most talented actors. His roles were often troubled and emotionally charged, reflecting a generation grappling with identity, rebellion, and vulnerability. Films such as Le Meilleur Facon de Martyr, 1976, and Préparez vos mouchoirs, 1978, showcased his ability to convey fragility beneath a facade of intensity. A career driven by emotion and integrity. Dewaere was known for his meticulous preparation and unfiltered performances. He avoided the persona building that many actors cultivated, preferring instead to draw deeply from personal experience. This approach lent his characters an authenticity rarely matched in French cinema. In Un Mauvais Fils, 1980, he delivered one of his most moving performances as a troubled man returning to France after a prison sentence. His work earned critical acclaim and further cemented his reputation as a master of emotional realism. Inner turmoil and personal struggles. Despite his success, Dewaere faced profound personal challenges. Sensitive and introspective, he found it difficult to separate his emotional life from his artistic pursuits. The pressures of fame, complicated relationships, and unresolved personal history weighed heavily on him. Behind the scenes, he battled psychological distress and instability, which were often discussed in the French press. These struggles, combined with a deep sense of professional and emotional vulnerability, contributed to the difficulties he faced in his final years. A tragic end and lasting legacy. On July 16, 1982. At just 35 years old, Patrick Dewaere died by suicide, shocking the French public and leaving an immense void in the film industry. His death cut short a career that promised even greater accomplishments. Yet his legacy endures. Dewaere is remembered as a predecessor to modern, emotionally driven acting, a performer who embraced depth, complexity, and truth at a time when the industry often favored surface polish. He remains an icon of cinema verite, admired for his courage, sincerity, and artistic integrity. Enduring influence. Decades after his passing, Patrick Dewaere's films continue to resonate. Young actors cite him as an inspiration, and directors praise his instinctive approach to performance. Festivals, retrospectives, and film scholars frequently revisit his work, recognizing him as one of the defining talents of his era. Above all, Dewaere represents a rare artistic phenomenon, an actor who gave everything of himself to his craft, leaving behind a body of work that is both emotionally powerful and timeless. Patrick Dewaere. A deeper look at his artistry and influence. A natural-born actor with a revolutionary style, Patrick Dewaere belonged to a rare category of actors whose performances felt instinctive rather than constructed. He embodied a new wave of French acting that prioritized emotional transparency over theatrical training. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Dewaere rejected classical techniques and instead relied on spontaneity, lived experience, and improvisation. This approach made his characters unpredictable, flawed, human, and unforgettable. Dewaere's physical expressiveness set him apart. He brought to the screen a mix of awkward sensitivity and explosive energy, often shifting between humor and despair in a single scene. His portrayals felt painfully real, as if he were revealing something private rather than acting a part. Many directors described him as an actor who did not cheat, meaning he refused to pretend emotions he did not truly feel. Key collaborations and cinematic partnerships throughout his career. Dewaere worked with some of the most respected filmmakers of his generation. Bertrand Blier, who cast him in Les Valsieuses and Préparez vos mouchoirs, valued his instinctive charisma and ability to push boundaries. Claude Miller, director of Le Meilleur Facon de Marcher, helped reveal Dewaere's vulnerability, allowing him to portray complex masculinity with sensitivity. Elie Chouraki, who directed Mon Premier Amour, 1978, highlighted Dewaere's romantic and introspective side. Claude Sauté, though they never completed a film together, openly admired Dewaere's depth and hoped to collaborate. With each director, Dewaere formed collaborations built on trust. Filmmakers often rewrote scenes to accommodate his ideas, knowing his emotional instincts could elevate material beyond what was written. A filmography marked by bold choices despite his short career. Dewaere's repertoire is remarkably rich. Some of his most memorable films include Les Valsieuses, 1974, the role that made him famous, a daring, controversial portrayal of youthful revolt. Le Meilleur Facon de Marcher, 1976, a nuanced exploration of humiliation, masculinity, and psychological tension. Préparez vos mouchoirs, 1978, a dark comedy that won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. Serie Nori, 1979, often regarded as one of his greatest performances, a gritty, desperate portrayal in a noir classic. Un mauvais fils, 1980, a deeply moving role that earned him widespread critical praise. Beau Père, 1981, another bold, emotionally complex performance. Typical of his fearless approach. Each film reinforced Dewaere's reputation as an actor who gravitated toward emotionally demanding roles that others often avoided. Complex personality and a life lived intensely. Those who knew Dewaere describe him as sensitive, warm, and fiercely loyal, yet also deeply restless. He was known for his sharp humor, his generosity toward friends, and his conviction to stay honest in both life and art. But beneath his charisma lay fragility and unresolved emotional wounds from childhood, which he rarely discussed openly. He disliked celebrity culture, avoided interviews when possible, and felt uncomfortable with the idea of being idolized. Acting was not a performance for him, it was an attempt to understand himself and the world around him. This intensity made him compelling, but it also contributed to the emotional turmoil that followed him throughout his life. Posthumous recognition and cultural legacy. Although his life ended at only 35, Patrick Dewaere's influence has continued to grow. Over the years, film schools often study his work as an example of emotionally immersive acting. Young French actors cite him as a model for authenticity and artistic courage. Cinémathèques regularly organize retrospectives celebrating his life and films. Directors continue to reference him as one of the greatest actors of his generation. In 1992, 10 years after his passing, the French film community officially honored him with tributes that acknowledged both his artistic contribution and the emotional wounds that shaped him. Today, he stands as a symbol of sincerity in cinema, an artist who never compromised, never performed for applause, and never hid behind artifice. A star who burned bright and brief. Patrick Dewaere's story is both inspiring and heartbreaking. He was a talent so pure and instinctual that it seemed almost unsustainable. His performances remain.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.